welcome to the 5th part of the storytelling of Brave Hunter. Well, the last time we found out that the witch went to bed and Brave Hunter sneaked out of the witch's house. And I continue now with the next day, the next morning in the witch's house. The witch child, Norma. The next morning the sun was shining through the grubby windows of the witch's cottage. "Wow, it's going to be a beautiful day. But goodness me, I still have a lot to do." Caligula stretched. Just a couple of days to go before the witch ball starts, and I don't have enough fairies. Caligula brooded. More witches than usually have signed up for the ball. Everyone wants to try the potion to regain youth. How am I going to solve this problem? Well, I can't say that I only have enough potion for half of the witches. I'm sure the other witches will get very angry with me and do something terrible to me. Oh, how can I get more fairies? Caligula got out of bed, walked towards the kitchen sink and grabbed the water jug. She threw some water on her face. "Brrr, beautiful cold," she crowed as she shook her head, water drops flying everywhere. With a rusty old comb she combed her long yet black hair. She then got a black velvet dress from the wardrobe and slipped it on. It was a beautiful ball dress which used to belong to her sister Desiree. Desiree lived in the valley of the squirrels and the rabbits. The valley bordered Gnome Land and lay about a day's walk from Caligula's cottage, though only 20 minutes by broom. If you saw Desiree, it would be hard to imagine that she and Caligula were sisters. They both had jet black hair, a long face with dark brown eyes and long dark black eyelashes. But if Desiree smiled, you could see a beautiful shiny white teeth, while Caligula had only a couple of black stumps. And Desiree's eyes were clear and open, while Caligula always screwed her eyes up as if she was hatching some plan. Desiree's hair was always neatly combed, while Caligula's hair was all over the place. And Desiree always wore the latest fashion of Milan hacks, while Caligula usually wore Desiree's hand-me-down clothes. Well, their characters were as different as their appearance. Caligula was a mean witch who used her magic gift for her own gain. Desiree, on the other hand, was a good witch who used her powers to help others. That sister of mine, why does she have to be a good witch? If she wasn't, she could have helped me catch the fairies, growled Caligula. Wait a minute, maybe her daughter Norma could help. She's such a sweet little thing, nobody would suspect that she was working for me. Caligula rubbed her hands and took the crystal ball from the dusty shelf. She held her hands above the ball and said, "Norma dear, Norma steady, my crystal ball is for you ready." Can you see the little girl appearing in the crystal ball? And that's Caligula. A little girl appeared in the ball. She looked very much like her mother, jet black hair and big wide eyes, only not brown, but blue. She inherited those from her father, the mighty sorcerer. Norma had never met her father. He left before she was born. Her mother told her that he was a very wise man, always willing to lend a hand. Norma had a medallion of his, which she never took off. She believed that the medallion would protect her against danger. "Are you calling me, Auntie?" asked Norma cheerfully. Yes, Norma. Quickly come over here on your broom. I have a nice task for you," growled Caligula back. "Oh, I'm coming right away, Auntie," answered Norma. Caligula had just finished her breakfast when she saw Norma hanging in the air on her broom. "Hello, Auntie," said Norma cheerfully as she waved from the air. She circled above the house, then landed in front of the old veranda. Caligula walked outside to greet her niece. "What do you think of my air broom? It flies much faster than the antique one you use." Norma showed her aunt the broom. "Look, it has a special hair structure, which ensures that the wind stays under it, so you can go extra fast." Caligula shook her head and grounded her teeth. "I'll stick to my old-fashioned broom." Norma smiled at her aunt and said cheerfully, "By the way, Mum sends her regards." Caligula nodded and growled, Yes, what nonsense is she wasting her time with? Saving rainforests? A steel sanctuary, perhaps? A shelter for baby bears? Ha! Your dumb mother should use her gift much better than wasting it on these kinds of nonsense. Norma rested her broom against the veranda. Well, at the moment she's helping the gnomes take care of the trees and bushes in human land. Yeah, no doubt, grumbled Caligula as she stumbled into the cottage. Norma shook her head and followed her aunt. Norma always found it very exciting to visit Aunt Caligula. She lived in such a strange house with all kinds of pots and pans, and there was such much to look at, and of course the big magic book that was always in the middle of the table. A very different magic book from the magic book she knew from home. In those books were just spells about how to help animals, gnomes and fairies. Aunt Caligula's magic book was full of very different spells. In just a moment she would snoop around in the dusty magic book. Not that she wanted to do mean things, but it was great fun to be able to change your herb teacher into a frog, chuckled Norma as she walked into the house. Norma looked around with surprise. She saw all kinds of jars on the shelf containing small creatures. She walked to the shelf and picked up a jar. "Put that jar down immediately!" shrieked her aunt as she put the kettle on the fire. "You might break the jar!" Quickly, Norma put the jar back on the shelf. "But, Auntie, it is only a little fairy. You can't put them in jars." Then Norma saw how many fairies were in the jars. Most were sitting on the ground. Some were hanging against the glass side or lying down to sleep. "Auntie, why do you keep fairies in jars?" asked Norma again. Caligula knew that she couldn't say that she was using the fairies to make soup for the witch ball. Norma would have told her mother immediately. Her mother was much more powerful than Caligula, so she didn't want to make her angry. No, she had to make up something else. So she answered, "Norma, those fairies have a contagious disease, and to prevent it spreading, I'm taking care of them here at home." Norma looked at her aunt with surprise. Yeah, it is really true," said Caligula quickly. "It was so sad to see all those fairies sick that I decided to take them home with me so I could take care of them. Look, this one is losing all its hair." Caligula pointed to a fairy as she blinked away a tear. "Oh, don't you feel sorry for them?" Then suddenly cheerfully, "No, come on, we're going to give the fairies my delicious honey to eat." Caligula walked to the cupboard and took out a large pot of honey. Then she took the kettle off the fire and made a delicious smelling drink with all kinds of herbs. She took a special fairy dinner service out of the cupboard with small cups and saucers, little plates, forks, spoons and knives. Together, aunt and niece made breakfast for the fairies. "Has Auntie changed that much?" pondered Norma. "It is a real pity that all those sweet fairies are sick." Well, if Norma is going to believe it, we'll find out next time. Thank you very much for joining me again, and I hope to see you next time as well. Sleep tight, if it's good night, and otherwise have a very nice day. Bye-bye.
For millions